Dumelang, Molweni, Sanbonani, good evening, goeienaand, and welcome to the Stokvel Academy online Stokvel Masterclass. And we as Stokvel Academy today are stimulating youth entrepreneurship. We as Stokvel Academy seek to be South Africa's #1 Stokvel Development Institute. Our mission is to produce a generation of Stockfels that are generational wealth creators through our financial training programs. And our value proposition is believing in yourself regardless. I'd like to welcome everybody that has made their time to be with us this evening. And I'd like to also just quickly announce that today we have a book up for grabs right over here. And the book is The Young Entrepreneur's Playbook, Using Failure as a Shortcut to Success by Lindile Olo. We'll be giving away 2 copies of this book today. And all you have to do to make sure that you win a copy is to tell us more about your Stockfells journey or your business's past experiences in relation to your success and or failures. And in order for you to stand a chance of winning this book, all you have to do is to post on the Stokvel Academy's Facebook page, our Instagram page, which is at Stokvel Academy, that is STOKVEL Academy, or you can also post in the comment section of the YouTube broadcast that we will then post on YouTube. Once again, all you need to do is to post your Stokvel journey or your business journey, past experiences in relation to your success and your failures. We're looking forward to giving away this lovely book by Ulindile Wawakolo. Right, now, next, there will be a Q&A session at the end of this webinar. And in order for you to take part in the Q&A session, I would like you to please drop your questions in the Q&A box or comment in the chat box. That way we'll be able to tally up your comments and then, or your questions, and then later on we'll be able to address your questions to our guest speakers today. Without further ado, I would love to introduce our host for this evening, mamBusi Skanjana. She is the founder of the Stokvel Academy, very passionate about educating Stokvel members to grow and create generational wealth. Let's please hear from her now. mamBusi, if you can please take it.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Diabulela, Molweni, Dumelang. Yeah, it is such a pleasure to be with my Stokvel community family. I'm looking forward to having a wonderful, fruitful evening with you and learning from the younger generation. At the Stokvel Academy, we are committed to continue exploring generational wealth creation opportunities, especially for the younger generation. In this webinar, we are celebrating Youth Month. For those who are not quite familiar with South Africa's history, I just want to remind you briefly that June is Youth Month, honoring the youth that took into the streets in 1976 to fight the evil apartheid system. That battle has been fought, but we still have the economic battle That is why we at the Stokvel Academy, siqhubeka sisemzabalazweni ukuthi masibone ukuthi umnotho singawakha kanjani somphakathi wama-Stokfella. That being said, I just want to share just a brief basic statistics about our youth in South Africa. We have a population of about 20.5 million youth, and sadly enough, 55% of that youth is not employed. And yeah, so which tells us that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and hopefully the Stokvel Academy and everyone who's here will be able ukufaka igalelo ukuthi we address this youth unemployment through the Stockfell movement. Yeah, mamBusi ungenaphi endabeni zama-Stockfella, because you just said youth month and generational creation and all that stuff. Just to share briefly with you, I've been on this journey since 1987. I started my entrepreneurship journey when I resigned as a trainee brand manager to join a family business, Efficient Chips SOA2. Yes, Efficient Chips shop, but the story for another day. And fast forward, 1998, I started a marketing and promotions agency specializing in the Stokvel market segment. That agency is still alive. So I've got about 36 years experience as an entrepreneur. And by the way, when I started my journey as an entrepreneur, I was a youth, I was in my 30s. So, which is relevant to our discussion tonight. But not only that, I have been a Stokvel member for 42 years, guys. I joined my first Stokvel in 1981, and I still belong to 2 Stockfels. But I'm not going to talk about those Stockfels today because we've got 2 amazing young people who will be sharing their journey as, you know, entrepreneurs within the Stokvel movement. So yeah, I'm passionate. I've walked the path. I've been down the alleys. I understand the challenges of entrepreneurship, but above it all, I believe in the Stokvel movement, you know, as a tool that we can use to stimulate our economy, especially through the younger generation. But another important point to consider is there's about 55 billion that is said to be circulating within the Stokvel ecosystem. Sad enough, most of that money goes into just consumption, and I'm not against us buying groceries, going on holiday and all that stuff. But we need to begin to say, how can we tap into that Stokvel money to actually create wealth, start businesses, stimulate our economy? But another important thing that I want us to consider, and you know, today, imagine the 2 generations coming together, abo mama, abo auntie, abo gogo, who's got wealth of experience in running Stockfels like myself for years, you know, merging with the younger generation or collaborating with the younger generation that is digital savvy, that still have energy. So intsha nabantu abadala sihlangana collaborate to actually make sure that we work together, we bring our knowledge, our experience together in actually growing, and not only the Stockfels, but as I've said earlier on, to stimulate the economy through youth entrepreneurial development. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to actually engaging with our distinguished guests tonight, who will be introduced shortly by our program director. And I'm looking forward to learning from them. And thank you. Yeah, let's enjoy the evening. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much to Indlovukazi here, to Stokfella, mamBusi. Wow, guys, I mean, there you have it. We are actually being hosted by a true guru. You know, kuthiwa indlela ibuzwa kwabaphambili. mamBusi is the epitome of lo osihambela phambili. Stokvel member since 1981, been an, you know, a successful and pioneering, not just successful, a pioneering entrepreneur for the last 30 odd years. And as you heard, key points, we're talking about youth entrepreneurial development. I've got some feedback there. So people please just mute There's mute. Youth entrepreneurial development, and we're using the Stokvel platform, which, did you know, 55 billion, guys, not million, 55 billion rands that is circulating in our stockfells within this country. So this is definitely a tool that we can use to stimulate economic growth in our country, La Mzansi. And Lord knows we all need some stimulation, considering the financial hardships and times that we find ourselves in. So guys, in essence, through our Stockfell, all of us who are Stockfell members are, as a result, sitting on a gold mine. What does it take for us to make sure that we can mine this gold? We need to come together, guys. Umama ushilo uguti, the old and the young need to link up and really turn this thing into a real moneymaker, an economic growth stimulator that is much needed for us as South Africans. And I believe if we can do that, I'm sure that Masngahlani Samakanda will even figure out ways on how to even create jobs for ourselves and for our youth that are in need of umsebenzi. Moving on, I'd like to also just remind you guys that, please make sure that if you have any questions, drop them in our Q&A box or in the comment section, and we'll make sure that we tally up your questions and ask them to our guests. Speaking of guests, I'd like to welcome our first guest speaker this evening, Gurula Baloyi. And Gurula is the founder of Someone Investments, that is SUM1 Investments, which provides short-term stockfell investments. Someone invests in income-generating assets based predominantly in township and rural areas across South Africa. The Someone Stockfell investment strives to provide inclusive economic growth and social impact through their investments. Their investment philosophy is rooted in achieving selected SDG Sustainable Development Goals and upholding principles of responsible investing. Tina Lagwa Stokvel Academy, we like to think of them as the Stokvel venture capitalists. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Gurula Baloyi. I'd like to hand over to Mama Stokvel, mamBusi, to just please introduce her and give her a young questionnaire.
Hi, Gurula, welcome. Nice to hook up with you again.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to engaging with you.
Thank you so much.
Your wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you so much, mamBusi. It's a privilege and an honor to be here tonight.
Great, great. So let's get on it, Gurula. You and I have engaged, but for the benefit of our guest, can you kindly tell us what's your, Someone Investments? I think we can all see that. And what are the demographics? I'm interested. Besides Gurula, I can see she's young, she's youthful. Who else is part of this Someone Investment?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that, mamBusi. And good evening to everybody, listening in today. I'd also like to say Avshin, because I see all the greetings have gone across, and we've left mine out. So good evening
Apologies,
to everyone.
Apologies.
No problem. Very good evening to everybody. As you guys have so warmly introduced me, my name is Gurula Baloyi, and I am the founder of Someone Investments. And we are an investment stockfell. That's the short of it. But I think it's important for me to give context, a little bit of context as to what is Someone Investments and how all of this came about. I have a professional and academic background in finance and investments. And so naturally, people would come up to me, oh, Korola, where can I put my money? Where can I put my money? People from church, you know, my siblings, people would just come up to me. And I didn't think much of it, right? I just thought maybe these are questions that get asked to anybody. It wasn't until I started working in the industry as an investment analyst when I started putting the two together, because I realized that the reason people are asking this question is because there aren't enough investment opportunities for people just like me, right? The investment industry, it's so complicated. People don't understand investments, the way investments are communicated, the type of investments that are available. People just don't know this stuff. So although it may have seemed like common knowledge to me, it wasn't really common knowledge to everybody else. And so I really started digging deeper about creating opportunities for everyday South Africans to start investing. And that sort of gave the birth of Someone Investment. So when I started, I called those people, hey, you know, last year, a few months ago, you asked me about investing. I have it now. I have it figured out. So I went back to all those people. Interestingly enough, only about 5 people when we started off, you know, very small. And that's sort of where our constitution was birthed, you know, like, okay, guys, how do you guys want this thing to work? I can tell you this is how we can invest, but how do you guys want to operate as a stockfell? And that's sort of how it came about. Right now, we're currently sitting at over 70 members. Our members are across the country. We're invested in 3 provinces. That is the Western Cape, Gauteng, and Limpopo. That's where our assets sit. As was mentioned before, we invest in income generating assets like livestock, crop farming, and delivery bikes. So that's where the assets are spread across. We're currently managing over 720,000 Rand from these 70 members that they're contributing every month. So that's quite a sizable amount of investment that we've been able to grow. In terms of a little bit more about the demographics and the members, interestingly enough, we almost have a 50-50 split between men and women. Just a little bit more men, like 54% women and the remainder is men. So almost 50-50, which is very nice to see. And our average age is roughly 33 years old. And most of our investors, interestingly enough, are first-time investors, right? People are investing literally for the very first time. This is probably their very first stockfell. So it is quite a journey that we've been going on because everyone is doing this for the first time. So yeah, that's just, you know, very big overview of what we do at Someone Investments.
Wow, thanks, Buhula. That's quite interesting. And yeah, as I indicated, to me, you sound more like you're really a venture capitalist. You're all out to invest in businesses, you know? Yeah, let's think big and yeah, grow this thing. And I'm quite actually impressed to see young people having faith and confidence in other businesses that need support. And if you can just briefly, maybe just for the purpose, for the benefit of our guests, you mentioned motorbikes. I'll just single out one of the investments that is currently running, that is operational. Unfortunately, we've got limited time. I wish we had 1 hour to just have this conversation. We still have Utshepo Moloi to listen to. So just briefly give us one of your star investments.
Yeah, I would say the motorbikes, as you rightfully point out, is one of our most, you know, lucrative investments. So, you know, the way it works is that we pool the money together as a stockfell, right? So every member would contribute a minimum of 500 Rand per month. So we pool that money in our stockfell bank account. We then, as the people that manage the stockfell, which is me and a few others, take the money and we invest it in, let's say, a motorbike. This motorbike is then rented out to a driver or a delivery partner, and that's how we make money. As this person is paying us rent, which they do weekly, the stockfell is basically generating money. So at the end of, let's say, a year, you would have paid back the money you bought your motorbike for, and you will have some interests. And that is what we split. Those are the returns that we get. Just for the benefit of everyone, our returns since we started back in 2020 have been between 15 and 19% per year after we've deducted fees from, you know, the relevant fees like insurance and servicing, so forth and so forth, that we have to deduct. So it works quite well. And, you know, when we think of our investments, we think of investments and assets that are in demand. I'm sure most of you guys see delivery guys, Mr. D, checkers, all of these guys driving around. Some of them are our bikes, thankfully.
Wow.
So it's very nice to see yeah, that's the.
Oh, thanks, Joa. That's quite amazing. Rula, I know as entrepreneurs, we always be optimistic and all that. We tend to hide the difficult things. You know, I've learned that as an entrepreneur, sometimes you need to face, you know, the failures that we've encountered or challenges rather, you know, let's embrace that and go. Can you just briefly tell us what has been the challenges since you started this business?
I mean, one of the main things is that because most of our investors are first-time investors, we have a big financial literacy problem in this country. So it's very difficult, you know, to basically give someone investments when they may not be so financially literate. So that is a barrier that we have to constantly overcome alongside the people that invest with us, as well as the people that are looking to join us. You know, you almost need to educate as you are going on this journey. So that's why we started a little financial literacy thing that we do. We send our members some stuff, some content, you know, very important things, because yes, your investments are there, but people want to know about other things, you know, so that's what we do. So it's a very big barrier that we have to overcome. Another thing is that people have been hurt before. There've been so many scams and scandals. I'm sure you guys in the audience also probably know someone who's probably been scammed by someone or something. So people are scared, people are worried, you know, and you can see sometimes when you're engaging with people that they're scared, they're worried, they're concerned. And we almost have to come and assure people, we have to make people feel comfortable. You know, and people that have been with us over the years, you know, after the second year, they're confident now. They don't ask as many questions. They're not as worried, you know, but people are afraid. Our people have been hurt, unfortunately. So yeah, it's just about overcoming a lot of those structural issues that are in place.
Wow. No, thank you. I'm happy that you've actually identified a problem and you've come up with a solution, like you say, financial literacy. You know, that is quite commendable. What advice can you give to other youth stockfells out there who are exploring, this entrepreneurship journey? I know there's property stockfells, there's this, and so what's just broadly speaking, what advice can you give to stockfells? Because personally, I feel that the young generation stockfells need to actually explore this landscape. Let us not just be stuck like Tina abo gogo nabo mama besenzi grosa namasingwabani. Just give some pearls of wisdom to the younger generation out there.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, this is advice that I follow myself. I always like to say that we are the ones that are going to change our own circumstances. There is nobody that understands, Black people like another Black person. We understand ourselves. This is our identity. This is our journey, and we need to start embracing that. I would literally be damned if we as the young Black people of this country aren't the ones that are running the future of Stockfels. We need to do it. We shouldn't have to wait for USAVE or Mr. Price to put containers in the townships for us to realize that the township market is valuable. Those markets are valuable. And we that come from those markets or have access to those markets can tap into that much easier. We talk a lot about network, and I think maybe sometimes the way we see networks is some fancy thing or some fancy person that's going to put you in a nice job. But networks could be as simple as, me saying, okay, how can I access the chief in my local village? That is a network. Okay, maybe I should go to my gran. My gran would probably be better placed. And then when I go to the chief, I can say, you know what, I'm Kurula Baloi from this family. And now it's done now because my gran has probably put in a word. And now I can get land that is maybe a little bit cheaper. So maybe we should just change the way we think about networks, change the way we think about opportunities, because they are there. And it's much, much easier to solve for problems that you are facing. It's much easier to solve for problems where you are and what you have access to. So I just hope that we are all encouraged to start where we are with what we have, because the market it's there, it's waiting for us. I want to see us being the ones running investment, stockfells, lending, property, whatever it may look like, because it is our space. We know it, we understand it. You mentioned the 50 billion mamBusi. Corporate South Africa knows that. Everybody wants to enter the stockfell market. So let us be there, be the first ones to go there, and let us service our people. So yeah, thanks mamBusi. I'll leave it there.
Okay, no, thanks, Kuhula. What I actually like about this conversation is that you guys are doing it. I'm one person who have issues with stockfels that have been around, that are stuck in we are thinking syndrome, especially our generation. They like saying, we've been thinking of doing this. We've been thinking, that analysis paralysis, so to speak. So I'm proud of you guys that you've just gone out and just done it, which is very important. Of course, you need to be cautious of scams, and I'm happy you touched on that, because as a Stokvel Academy, we always try to be careful who we engage with, because there are sharks out there who, who are just coming across as if they want to help investment, this and that, And the fact that you guys also from an academic perspective, you've studied, finance and all that. And I would like to emphasize to our young audience out there, education is key. It's very important. The reason why I managed, for example, to start a marketing and promotions agency that is specializing in stockfels is because I studied marketing. I've got an honors degree in marketing. So I had to look at what opportunity can I use, because marketing is broad. So education is key, guys. And, I salute you, for actually mixing this energy with education. I hope the rest of your other 71 members are just as academically astute as you are.
Thanks, mamBusi.
Finally, what is your big long-term vision about someone investment? Just crisp.
We want to list on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Our Stockfell is going to list on the JSE, basically. It doesn't get bigger and better than that from a South African context. That is, as you said earlier, we want to be the VC of Stockfells. When people think Stockfell investing, they need to think someone investments. That is it. If we can do that, my word, my job here.
Hey,
I'm done. Yeah, no, I'm done.
Wow.
I'm done. Yeah.
Wow. No, that's in fact, own it already. You are on the journey, and I'm just gonna check in my kitty investment how many shares I'll be able to buy. And just disclaimer here, I was reading one article from one of the newsletters that I subscribe to. This person she's a very top financial executive. She says her first investment, she invested in share X, I won't mention it, but that share then 30 years ago, it was 23 rands, and it's sitting today at 3,300 rands per share. So that's her journey. And I'm talking about someone who's very professional and astute. It shows that, I want to come in early when your share is still 50 cents.
Definitely come in early. And I always say this to people, right? People feel like they need to have lots of money to invest. Guys, start where you are with whatever you have. It's a journey. Start with what you have, give it time, and it will get there.
Thank you. Kuhula, thank you so much, and I wish we had more time, and and looking forward to perhaps having part 2 of this webinar. Thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yes. Analysis is paralysis indeed. Thank you so much, Kurula. Please do not leave us. Stay with us. At the end, we'll be having a Q&A, which we would like to engage you in. And kudos to you and your team for actually just doing it, getting out there, rolling up your sleeves and providing opportunities. I'd like to quickly move on to our second guest speaker, Ubabu Tsepo Moloi. Tsepo Moloi is the founder and CEO of Stockfella app, Pty Ltd. It is a fintech solution that is aimed to revolutionize a 19th century practice into a modern and tech-savvy sector that allows more than 8.5 million South Africans to participate in the economy of the country. mamBusi, without further ado, could you please introduce us to Utepo Moloi.
Yabulela. Hi, Tsepo. All I can say, we have our Stokvel Academy.
Halala.
Halala, our Stokvel Academy. Tsepo, I'm going to sound like a memoir crash when someone is graduating and say, "Okay, wanaka." No, I feel so proud. I'm so proud of you. I remember 7 years ago when you started this journey, you and I engaged. And yeah, it was quite misty, you know. Yeah, but here you are today. You are our shining star in fintech, and you know, you're welcome and thank you and wishing you nothing else but the best. Yeah, just going to hand over to you. I know you are just much capable to actually tell us more about Stockfella app. What is Stockfella app? What do you do? What have you achieved? What has been, you know, the challenges? And yeah, over to you, sir.
Yeah, no, my teacher. Yeah, no, thank you very much for the opportunity, mamBusi, and I'd like to thank all the participants for participating, young or old. Unfortunately, not everyone is saying their age, but I'm assuming it's young individuals in taking control of your future. You know, I think it's first and foremost, if you want to know more a bit about me, you know, before the technology, there's always the man behind the technology, you know, or the woman, depending, right? So I've been born and bred in Soweto. So if you want to say that, yes, definitely, Stockfels have been a part of my journey ever since I was knee high. You know, Stokvel took me to school, paid for my school fees, it paid for my varsity fees. Stokvel also took me out of the country the first time, you know, so it's a part of me as it's a part of you. I think if you're a young child growing up in Busi, whichever township or whichever rural village, a Stokvel is you. You know, you're part of it growing up. And fast forward to now, you know, I've been in the finance industry just like the previous guest talked about. My academic background is engineering, but taking all of that, you know, into fintech, I saw an opportunity to enable this 19th century industry to become a revolutionized industry where it's part of the fourth industrial revolution. You know, I think as young people will know, for IR, we're on social media. In fact, right now we're talking through online digital capability. So the question is, why are Stockfels staying behind? You know, why can't we also create tools that are digital for the Stockfels that enable the Stockfel to become part of the FireArt? And that's where Stokvel app comes from. It comes from enabling this 19th century industry, enable Stockfels to become more transparent, more convenient, more secure, so that, you know, no one can come and steal your money because everything is digital. Your executive does not do transactions without you knowing, as a young person, to say, hey, this executive, you know, so that's what we brought to the table as a Stockfella app solution. But I think where are we going, and perhaps this is more futuristic, you know, approach, is that we definitely believe that Stockfels can play a very important part in the ecosystem of the country. And I think One investment, Stockfel is one of them that shows it can. And the question that Stockfella that we ask ourselves is that how do we connect someone so that it focuses on bringing value back to you, not focus on trying to build systems, not focus on trying to build technology, where they can just focus on actually assets themselves, of buying the right assets and giving you value as a Stokvel member. And that's the role that we are working towards, is creating digital solutions that enable Stokvels to connect to the greater economy so that they can become more effective and more powerful, you know, in reducing jobs. I mean, in enabling jobs, reducing joblessness in our country, and also reducing inequality. So that's the kind of future that we're looking at. The future involves blockchain, the future involves wallets, the future involves AI technology, the future involves machine learning. There's so much that the future involves that the Stokvel industry can take part in, So in parting short, in that introduction, and leading to questions, is that as Stockfels, we have an opportunity to change the game, and technology can play a part to do that. And we hope to be the vehicle, and we believe we are the vehicle at Stockfella to enable that, not only for South Africa, but for the world holistically, because Stockfels is a South African naming concept, but internationally, it's known as different things. In DRC, it's called Ligelembas. In West Africa, it's called Chamas. In East Africa, it's called Susus. So when we look at it as a fintech business, we're like, how do we connect Stockfels all over the world under one big umbrella? Yeah, that's my 2 cents, numbers.
Okay, thanks. No, that's a mouthful, Tsepo, actually mentioning the Likelembas, the Chamas. I get my inspiration from the Chamas in Kenya, They're unlike us. When you say you belong in Stockfell, hi, King Stockfell, it's because of the connotation that is attached to Stockfell, the Kumba Kumba and all that stuff. So I think, we need to start changing the narrative about Stockfell. And I like the way you've embraced this Stockfell movement by starting the app, just to show that we need to be proudly Stockfelling, Yeah. But also to involve the younger generation. I don't know what is your view, because I find Stockfells in South Africa were still more stuck into the social part of Stockfells, which is fine, the social contact, the social pet, supporting each other in terms of how na lilifu and all that stuff. So what's your take, especially the journey that you've been on for the past 5-6 years? I find that there's a bit of resistance to start thinking business as Stockfells who are more into, socializing. What's your take on that?
Yeah. So our take is slightly interesting, and I say that because I think technology is always first and foremost taken up by the younger generation, and they are the forefront around it. You can name it. Any technology has been out there, from TikTok to Instagram, from WhatsApp itself, anything that's a tech, usually the younger generation partake in it. So, our average age as Stockfella, it's about 33 years old, which is part of the youth itself, so it shows you that a lot of young people are using the Stockfella app. So that's the first point of departure. So, and then secondly, what we're seeing is that Stockfels on our platform are not more consumption. They are more of an investment approach, such as someone, right? So a lot of our Stockfels buy property, a lot of our Stockfels buy franchises, a lot of our Stockfels that are on our platform buy, the things that the Ubers and the bikes, the thing that someone talks about, where we are seeing the gap with young people is that they always want to start afresh. And what I mean about that is, and you touched on it earlier on, mamBusi, is that, young people, instead of starting afresh, how do they ingrain themselves into an existing Stockfell economy with their older folks, right? And that's the kind of thinking that young people need to understand, is that there is a 50 billion rand market already. You don't need to start afresh. You need to understand and respect the older generation, understand when they come from, understand why consumption has been big. And then the question is, then how do you move the needle bit by bit? For example, is instead of saying, give me all your money so that we can go invest it, is can we take 20% of your money, mamBusi, if you're a grocery Stockfell, and reinvest it? So that's what we are seeing, that a lot of young people are starting to think like that, to say, let's not start all over again, but let us take over the baton from our older people, and enable it to grow from there. So that's what we are seeing. And I think we've been fortunate enough to say, in that past 7 years, we've seen more than 300 million rand moving through our platform in order to enable that, and returns. And we've seen more than 6,000 jobs being created from that. So it shows, if you do that and you do it well, you can then suddenly have an impact of the economy as a Stockfell. So that's what we see for young people. When you take ownership of the Stockfell, you can actually create jobs for yourself indirectly.
No, that's great, Sapo. Actually, with that achievement, having a 300 million having circulated within your platform, what has been the response, or what is your relationship with the established financial institutions? Because we as Stockfels, we have a love-hate relationship with the your traditional financial. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, and it's not to your fault, right? And I say that because the truth is that the finance industry of South Africa is very well established, right? And for good purposes around it connecting to the greater world, the financial industry of the world, right? And because of that, it has high financial barriers, and therefore you'll have those love and hate relationships, right? But where we come in as Stockfella is saying, great, that's okay, because that needs to happen to protect the financial industry, right? But can we as Stockfella stand in between and become a bridge between the financial love and hate that the Stockfels have and actually having a great impact on the ground? And yes, we are. From a point of, we are an FSP accredited company, so we can speak the language to the financial guys that are out there. And also, our first and foremost important people are the Stokvel and its members. So we do our best to make sure that from a technical perspective, that every Stokvel executive is in line with what a typical financial institution would want, such as FICA documents, KYC, and so forth. But more importantly, we're trying to change the narrative of how the financial institutions see the Stockfels. For example, right, for a long time, financial institutions never developed products for Stockfels. But, about a year ago, some of them have started to say, can we develop a product such as property financing for Stockfels? And that's because they've seen a lot of property Stockfels pop up and doing great things on our platform, which then we enable them to engage, and therefore saying, okay, we can structure a product for Stockfels that do property. So that's the kind of standing in the gap that we do between us and financial institutions. We understand that they are there to play an important part, but the truth is that there is a gap between formal and informal, in inverted commas. And I say informal because Stockfels are not informal. They're just defined informal given the structures of the economy and the structures of governance.
Right. No, thanks for that, Tsepo. Just in wrapping up, in line with the principle of the profit, it's at the bottom of the pyramid. And if you look at the Stockfell demographics, we still have, if you may call it the lower LSM, being the majority of the Stockfells. What is your view of Stockfell as an organization or as a movement, considering that we still have the bulk at that bottom? And Kurula mentioned financial literacy, and we can come digital literacy. So what's your take on that, so that we can be able to actually, turn things around in terms of that?
Yeah, no, thanks for the question, mamBusi. I think, the biggest thing is what the pyramid that you're talking about is doing it based on the economy of the country, and it's doing it because it knows that best. So the important thing is not to change that, but to enhance it. And what I mean about that is that if the Stokvel industry, majority of it is grocery, one of it is grocery, the challenge that we face is that it's in small pockets. And what I mean about that, it's in small pockets that is decentralized, meaning that Stokvel A in KZN that's doing grocery and Stokvel B, Soweto, that's doing grocery, are both getting the same value, but if we combine them, they can get bigger value. So the first Stokvel movement in that pyramid, bottom of the pyramid, as you call it, is that to combine all these Stokvels so that they can have one big voice. So therefore they can have a bigger influence in the kind of discount that they're getting. There's a discount but we believe that discount can be spread a bit more. So that's the first point of departure that I think as a movement we need to do. We need to start seeing all the grocery stockfels clubbing together. We need to start seeing all the burial stockfels clubbing together. That's what we need to see, so that it becomes one big union, if you want to put it that way, that actually goes out and say, dear Mr. Retailer or Mr. FMCG, we will buy from you if you give us 30%. Oh, by the way, when you give us the 30%, take 10% for it and convert it to investment in your stocks or in your equity, Mr. Retailer. So then now you have a bigger voice. And I think if there's anything we can learn from unions, if there's anything we can learn from our counterparts, the Afrikaners who also have done such things in the past, this is what we can take away, is that we are too decentralized at the bottom of the pyramid. If we just centralize and speak with one voice, and then it's okay to still do groceries, but it's groceries with the purpose to go out of consumption into an impactful investment. I don't know if I've summarized it correctly for you.
You are spot on in Xhosa sithi you are so spot on with that unity. As we say, unity is strength. That is the biggest challenge with stockfels in South Africa. They are so fragmented, it's not funny. You even made an example case that in GP, go starting say one, same street, there's probably 10 stockfels. Imagine if they could unite, as they say, unity is strength, unity is power, and all that. So I totally agree with you, and I would like us to actually preaching that gospel whereby we can actually say, let's unite, let's work together, let's buy together, like the taxi industry, exactly, but as we say, it is a journey. And in the context of June Youth Month, I would say, umzabalazo, we are kubeka, we're still going on. The struggle is on. Thank you very much, Tsepo. And I think we'll now open time for over to our program director for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you, Ndademoloi. For a very insightful take on the state of our stockfels. Wow, guys. I would like to just recap quickly on the pearls and gems of wisdom that we got from Guhula and Tsepo. Guhula, the outtakes I got is that, look, Someone Investments are creating opportunities. Salute on that. And also I hope you guys heard that through the Someone Investments business portfolio, you've got a 15 to 19% return on investments annually. Look, people who understand numbers and the financial game, those are good percentages, within any sector that you can talk about. Financial literacy is a big thing, and I'm happy to hear that Someone Investments focus on that, in holding hands with their clients who are, investing and helping them grow and increase their financial literacy. It is also very important that we broaden the scope of our stockfels. I think Utsepo, Noguhula both touched on that. Tsepo, speaking about unity being key, so that we can broaden the scope of our stockfels from being just consumption orientated, but whilst we consume, we can also get involved in quality investment opportunities and platforms such as Stockfella, the Stokvel app, Someone Investments, and indeed the Stokvel Academy are designed, guys, to do exactly that. What's the other note that I made here with regards to, yes, Ugurula also mentioned something which is key for the old, but especially the young, because we the ones who got, the energy and are open to, newer ways of thinking. Some of our madalas are set in their ways of thinking. So I think this one really falls on the youth. Yoguti, we are the ones who, first of all, as Gorula said, we are the ones who are going to change our circumstances. And we're going to do that through changing our mindsets, and with regards to networks and opportunities, how we think and approach our networks and opportunities to create more value for ourselves. And a big thing that I really love about Tshepo's Stockfella app is that them as a fintech, company, they are basically freeing up people like mamBusi with the Stokvel Academy and Gorula with her Someone Investments, freeing organizations like that and stockfells indeed to be free in focusing on their core value proposition, whilst they take care of the back end of the technical stuff, so that you can focus on creating and delivering value in the services that you bring. So I salute you there, Mr. Moloi, for your endeavors in that part. And guys, yes, Tshepo also said that stockfells can and they must play a part in the ecosystem of our country. And I do have a few lovely questions that have been dropped in our Q&A Dropbox. But before I actually ask the questions, in essence, look, I really only have 2 questions that I've managed to find. But before I read the questions, Babu Sillo Maladzi also made a comment saying that, as we are all well aware, our public schooling system does not delve deeper into the, our public, what did I write here? Pardon me. As we are all aware, our public schooling system does not delve deeper, nor have we heard of any initiative to address the lack of financial literacy in our public schools. He further went on to say, and all of this is a serious scourge in one's life, and if it is not dealt with while there is time. So he is actually commending platforms like Someone Investment, and he thinks that it would be of great assistance in bridging the knowledge gap. Babu Sillo, I believe that the team at Gorula are well on the way to bridging that gap. Congratulations, Gorula, on that front. And let's take one of the questions that Babu Sillo asked, Sillo Malatsi asks to Gorula. Are your services limited to the members of your investment group? Do you accept invitations to give a lecture on different vehicles in investments, particularly in communities? And I think that second part of the question of, do you accept invitations to give a lecture on different vehicles in investments? That could be directed at both you and mamBusi.
To you, Gorula.
All right. Thank you for the question, Selo. Yes, most definitely. We were just at Stellenbosch University and UCT. So, we've done a lot of work with universities. We've done a lot of work in communities as well. We were in Langa just a couple of months ago. So the answer is yes. And if you guys would like us to come to your school, your university, your community, whatever it may look like, just give me a shout. I'm generally very open. And I do have a team helping me as well. So we will try our best, as our way of giving back to our communities.
Thanks, Kurula. From our end as well, yes, we are accessible. We are available to come and, share information within our competency. A disclaimer: we are not a financial registered, institution like whatever the FSPs and all that. But we do give general information, especially based on my experience, the journey that I've walked as a Stockfell ancestor, if I may put it that way, because I've been around for years. So there's lots and lots of information that I can share if I do have an opportunity to address you. And at the moment, we are a free registration organization. You are welcome. Like most of you have attended this webinar, they've registered, and we are building a tribe. We are building a community of Stockfels so that we can get to that unity that Sepo mentioned, instead of operating in silos.
Thank you very much, Mama Stokvel, our ancestor. Living ancestor. There's nothing, I think more precious than having an actual living and breathing ancestor. Yeah. Thank you very much. We receive. The second question, I don't know who would take this between Tsepo no Kurula. This question comes from one Cindy Koza. Cindy asks, what is the best legal practice to protect one's investment in a Stokvel group? And specifically, she asks, how does One Investments do it?
I'm happy to, talk a bit from our side. And I think Tsepo can add a lot of insight because they're actually an FSP. So at this point, we literally just have our Stokvel constitution, which governs the way we operate. We also have an investment committee, which literally looks at every single investment that we currently have and every single investment that we're still going to make. So I can't just wake up tomorrow and then, go buy a bike or anything like that. There is a process in place to protect all of our members and their best interests. And then we also have insurance because we actually invest in assets, so we can actually insure our assets. So if anything does happen, which sometimes it does, if assets die or get lost or get stolen or break, in the case of bikes, then we can actually utilize that protection. So we have put mechanisms in place, and hopefully we can get to a point where we can be like Tsepo and get our own FSP
license.
Do you want to add on that one briefly before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think Kurula said almost everything I wanted to say, particularly around entrusting your executives to actually help you to protect your assets and physical assets, to be precise. She mentioned insurance, she mentioned all that. I think for us as a FSP platform, and at least as a I like to call us referees of this playground, is that the first and most important thing is that we try our best to make sure that your executives are honest and honorable people, because by doing that, by giving them FICA, as from FSP perspective, we're supposed to do KYC, we then get all the details that you would need to know about your executives. One is the ID number, to where they live and so forth, so that it gives you the ability, if anything goes wrong, it allows you the ability to raise a police case against your executive with the right information. You're not being duped by the executive. But more so, I think in closing is risk is based on you understanding what you are getting yourself into, and if you can trust the people that you're getting yourself into part of that. So it's important, every single Stokvel member and every single youth person is to actually get to know the underlying driver of that asset. There is no way that, and I'd like to, as Kurula said, there is no way that she will suddenly say tomorrow your returns are 300%. If it sounds to be good to be true, it probably is good to be true. So let us be realistic with ourselves as people to know that, understand that, you know, there's no such thing as 100% return in 1 month. As soon as we understand that, then we can be realistic to ourselves. Yeah, that's my closing, that if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it probably is a duck.
Thank you so much, Tsepo. Thank you so much. Yeah, and for all of us who've been bitten before and who are shy, there we've heard it from, you know, professional FSP broker, Uguti, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck guy. But also, you know, my last take to recap, there's just 2 things I'd like to just focus on. You know, mamBusi Tsepo spoke about unity being key in getting us to pull together, right? And there's a saying that says, izandla ziyagezana. You know, so, you know, we really do need to club together, you know, apples with apples, oranges with oranges. So, you know, the burial groups club together, the grocery groups club together, the property guys club together, so that we can actually go out into the market, you know, to change our financial prospects, union style, as Tsepo mentioned. And another great takeaway that I took from Gurula, and I'm going to assume that on Tsepo's platform, it reflects the same sort of numbers. Gurula mentioned that there is a 50-50 split within her client base, men and women. For me, that is, you know, really heartening to hear, especially since this is for the youth. Uguzuguti, guys, you know, it speaks at, we realize, Uguti, as men and women, siyadingana. You know, there is none of this thing that men can do it by themselves, women are going to do it by themselves, and one doesn't need the other. So those numbers are very, very heartening. Let's keep it that way, guys. We need each other as men and women. We need each other as communities, as people of color, so-called Black people. We need to pull together our resources, change our mindsets. And we as the youth, we can also, if we work together with abantu abadala, the likes of mamBusi, we can even help them to, you know, get over their mindsets that are set in the, I'd assume Tsepo would call it archaic 19th century thinking that the industry is coming from as we are moving into the 4th industrial revolution. Let's take our place, guys, and not be left behind. Once again, I'd like to remind everybody, all of our viewers, both in this webinar and anybody who'll be watching this recording, we will be posting it on our Stokvel Academy YouTube page. We're giving away Lindile Togo's book, The Young Entrepreneur's Playbook, using failure as a shortcut to success. We're giving away 2 copies, and in order to win, you simply just need to tell us your Stockfels or your business's journey, your past experiences in relation to your successes and your failures. Now, if any of you would still like to get in touch with our guest speakers, Gurula and Tsepo, you can get a hold of Gurula on their Someone Investments WhatsApp number, which is as follows. It will be put in our comment box here. Someone Investments are available on WhatsApp on 068 519 4676. And then on email, you can contact Someone Investments at asking someone, that is asking some, SUM, the number 1 at gmail.com. And then their website is Someone Investments plural.co.za. And then you can reach Someone Investments on social media through their Instagram and Twitter pages, which are at Asking Someone, SUM1, the number. And then on YouTube, they have a YouTube page, YouTube channel, excuse me, called Someone Investments. And then on LinkedIn, because they are a bona fide business professionals, you'll find them on LinkedIn as Someone Investments. And then Tsepo Moloi and Stockfella, they are available on WhatsApp on 078-185-3074. And their email address is info@stockfella.com. Stockfella is spelled STOKFELLA. And their Instagram and Facebook pages are Stockfella on Facebook, and on Instagram it is at Stockfella, fella being FELLA. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. You know, with regards to contacting our guest speakers for today. And yeah, remember guys, tell us your stories about your journey, the journey of your business, the journey of your Stockfell, with regards to your failures and your successes. And remember, failures don't mean that you are a failure. They are merely a learning curve. And I mean, with valuable professionals within the Stockfell space, like Gurula, Tsepo, and mamBusi, guys, you are not lacking any guidance. There's no more excuses. mamBusi really did say that, you know, analysis is paralysis. So let's roll our sleeves, you know, take take the baton from those who are doing it before us, take a leaf from the from the books of Utsepo no Gurula, roll up our sleeves, let's do this thing, you know, get busy, turn our ideas into action, right? An idea means nothing. Ideas are just ideas. We all have them until we actually action them, for them to make an impact. And then, yeah, with regards to the book, once we have tallied, looked at your questions, we will announce the winners. I don't know, Lerato, are we announcing the, oh, we will, sorry, pardon. This is where we will be announcing the winners. Please check our YouTube channel, Stokvel Academy. We will announce there. We will announce on the Stokvel Academy Instagram page, which is at Stockfell, Stockfell with STOKVEL, and our Facebook page, Stokvel Academy. That is where we will announce who the winners are of the two books. So just subscribe, follow, and you know, watch the space. Your name might be announced when we give this book away. So I think, yeah, that's it. I've really, you guys have, it's been amazing. Gurula, Tsepo, personally from me, you'll be getting a phone call from me. I will be investing in your stock, and you know, and I also prophesy towards Someone Investments. Here's to 3 to 5 years, your stock price being 3,000 Rand. You are well on your way. You are definitely creating value. It's undeniable. It's undeniable. And it's really also refreshing to see, Uguti, you know, our youth is not lost. Not with the likes of you, Gurula, and the likes of Tsepo Moloi. We are certainly in good hands. It's a good 50-50, as we said. Thank you for repping us. You know, I'm really happy for both of you, and all the best for the future. And mamBusi, our Stockfell guru, where would we be without the legwork, the pioneering work that you have done. Your time that you give, so freely and so lovingly to youth when youth does approach you, seeking advice and pearls of wisdom when they have ideas that they want to turn into, to action, into, actually viable businesses. We have proof of it. Here's Someone Investments, there's Stockfella. Thank you very much. I could go on, because even me on the streets, the number of people I meet who tell me that, yo, I've met mamBusi before, and she has just, you are a gem. You are truly a national treasure. We thank you, and may God keep you. Sisakdinga ancestor yetu, ancestor yama Stockfella, living ancestor. Thank you.